those activities. And most of us are very much into a lifestyle that truly will not even allow us to live 70 years, let alone 300. What could they be? The eating habits. Not necessarily even the quality of the food, it's just the timing that people eat is automatically suicidal. Depending upon the structure of the individual, because there are 4 types of humans on the planet. Okay, we want to talk about the major 4 races, even though there's 7 races on the planet right now. There are 4 basic genetic structures that I want to talk about. Truly, they all have different metabolisms, different diets, different lifestyles are created for different activities and have a different relationship with the sun. So when the sun now becomes the main core energy source, the relationship with the sun and understanding when you have high time energy that you can draw upon to actually help you metabolize, help you think, help you get through a particular activity, and when you don't, is extremely important. A good example of that is truly in the melanin-dominant race, because melanin being an encapsulation of all of the known and unknown light spectrum truly resonates from the sun. So when we begin to utilize our bodies in a way that's antagonistic to allowing ourselves to ride with the energy that's on the planet at any particular time now becomes a problem. It is a known fact that for all organisms, because the sun is the sundial for what's happening in this dimension, that there's a time and a place for everything. Everything moves in a rest and a motion and a motion and a rest. So these are just basic understandings that one has to understand about themselves on a day-to-day basis. When, for example, that we eat, when we know that the energy on the planet is the lowest, there's no sun, there's no heat, etc., but we eat a meal that is extremely heavy, and then we ourselves do not assist the body in allowing that food to be able to pass through the digestive tract, sit in a tremendous amount of stress on the body. I don't think many people really recognize, and there's a test that we do known as live cell, that when they eat this way, large particles of food actually pass through the wall of the digestive tract and go into the bloodstream. When that happens, that immediately kicks in the immune system to have to handle this foreign body. And on our TV set in our office, we are able to see undigested food having to be phagocytized by your white blood cells. Because if it is allowed to continue to just stay around in the bloodstream, just a whole toxic reaction occurs, so that if the little fibers or fingers that are on the walls of the digestive tract are not assisted in absorbing those nutrients and processing them, then when it goes through the wall of the digestive tract, your immune system now is consumed with having to eat the residue. Now that means then that if there's bacteria present or there's other pathogens that are in the air, etc., they are not available to take care of more threatening activities because they got to eat the residue from an indigested or undigested meal. So now therefore when we start having symptoms of feeling just tired, lethargic, anything in the air and in the environment seems to bother you, many times we can also identify that these people have terrible eating habits and they do their largest eating at nighttime after the sun has gone down. That is a no-no. That will truly sap your life force energy very, very rapidly and really have you in a serious state of health, usually by the time you're in your late 50s or 60s. But by the time you look at the condition of your body, you've actually lost a lot of your youthfulness and resilience. The idea of not understanding that the concept of creating a self-defrosting refrigerator or an auto-cleansing oven, a self-cleansing oven, is no more than the human being that created it really creating themselves. Auto-cleansing or self-cleansing is a natural phenomena of the body. It is known as purification. And the purification process is where the body will increase its body temperature. It will automatically turn on its own heating system to liquefy toxins that have accumulated in the body. Once they are then turned into a liquid state, they are immediately removed into the lymphatics to be removed through the lungs, through the kidneys, okay, and out of the body. Now, modern science, however, wants to say that having a fever is pathologic, and immediately you're supposed to stop the process. What happens then when you take the Tylenol or whatever else you want to take to actually turn off the liquefying agent, you immediately allow these solidified toxins to stay in the body longer, which eventually produce the cysts that we have, whether it's, they told you there was a lipoma, they told you there was just a cyst here that was just right. Well, that is actually stagnated waste that was not allowed to go through the purification process to be eliminated from the body. When we again, once these toxins have been liquefied, do not then allow ourselves to eliminate them properly through the breath, by proper breathing, proper exercising, allowing ourselves most of all to sweat. This is a real big problem. Then they begin to re-solidify, but you have to remember they've already been moved to the lungs. This is what has happened with most people when they're diagnosed to have pneumonia. Pneumonia is an interruption of a purification process that did not allow, the person did not allow this process to go into completion. So yes, we do breathe in bacteria in the air. And when we have this waste that does have sugar in it, it does have protein in it, etc., that is now sitting there in the lungs, this is real food that this bacteria that we've inhaled can live off of. So it appears as though that there is a viral or a bacterial pathogen that is the reason for the pneumonia. That is not true. The reason for the pneumonia is the fact that there was an elimination, a purification that attempted to take place, and the individual, by their unwillingness to pay attention to the symptoms of the body, and first of all, to rest it. It's like we know that when the refrigerator is defrosting, when the stove is self-cleaning, we don't try to bake on it, and we don't try to put food in the refrigerator to be refrigerated. Okay, we let the process go through the whole motion, let it clean itself up, and then we know now that we can put our food back in the refrigerator, that we can now continue to cook on it. But now when these processes of a runny nose, the temperature goes up, etc., do we then immediately put ourselves in a resting position, trusting that the body knows what it's doing and has the capability of taking care of this process? No. We've got to go to work. We've got to do this. We've got to do that, etc. And as all of us know, the statistics state that every 2 minutes somebody is dying. But now, has that really changed the quality of your life? And has it really interfered with anything that you're choosing to do? No. Which means then that if people are dying every 2 minutes and we have an agenda for ourselves that their moving off the planet does not change what it is that we want to do. There's something else, even if they were the bus driver, the cab driver, whatever else, there's somebody come along to still get you where you want to go or service you. So the idea that all of a sudden the world ends because you don't go to your job, or, you know, life starts because you're now willing to honor yourself, immediately puts you in the range of the individuals who also are going to be going to the graveyard. You're going to be one of these 2 people every 2 minutes that's going to be leaving here. Excellent example is as we came out the office yesterday, there was a taxi parked in front of the hotel, and the doorman just kind of says to us, well, yeah, this cab is here because the cab driver slumped over on the wheel and had a massive heart attack and died. So, you know, the ambulance was making noise behind us, but, you know, I didn't really pay much attention. But it was because they had just pulled the man off the steering wheel and threw him in the back of the truck, and he was on his way to the morgue. Now, there is no way that this gentleman did not know that he was having problems with his heart. The heart just never, ever stops like that. These people always have symptoms. Indigestion for long periods of time, heaviness on the chest, ringing in the ears, pain down the arm. He had all of these symptoms. I know that he did. But now his unwillingness to recognize that his body was giving him signs and symptoms that it needed to do nothing more than purify itself is now the fact that he'll never drive another taxi again. And, of course, 1 hour later, somebody else came and got the taxi, and they're driving on. So it's very interesting that now, because people have lost the esteem of self, the value of how important you are, that there's a whole industry to help you even repress all these symptoms so you can get to the job.